No heaters, no insulated walls, no thick synthetic jackets, just cold, dark, and months of it. Winter should have wiped early humans out entirely. So how did a hairless, tropical-bodied animal survive the coldest seasons on Earth with nothing but fire? Humans evolved in warm climates. Our bodies are built for heat dissipation, not heat retention. Thin skin, sweat glands, minimal natural insulation compared to most cold-weather animals. And yet, early humans didn't just survive winters. Over tens of thousands of years, they pushed further and further into colder regions, eventually reaching some of the harshest environments on the planet. That expansion wasn't luck. It was a slow accumulation of very specific survival solutions. Animal hides weren't just worn, they were engineered in a crude but effective sense. Early humans learned to scrape, treat, and shape hides into wearable insulation, and evidence of bone needles dating back tens of thousands of years suggests some groups were sewing fitted clothing, not just draping loose skins over themselves. Fitted clothing mattered enormously. A loose hide lets cold air in around the edges. A sewn, layered garment traps body heat far more effectively. This single innovation, turning animal skin into actual functional clothing, may have been one of the most important survival technologies early humans ever developed, opening up entire regions of the planet that would have otherwise been unlivable. In cold climates, shelter wasn't just a place to sleep, it was a heat retention system. Early humans built shelters using whatever was available, mammoth bones and hides in some regions, like out earth shelters in others, tightly packed structures designed to trap body heat and minimize the space that needed warming. Fire placement inside these shelters mattered too. A fire positioned correctly could heat a small enclosed space far more efficiently than a fire out in the open, and evidence from some archaeological sites shows deliberate fire pit placement clearly designed to maximize warmth retention overnight, not just for cooking. Fewer plants, migrating or hibernating animals, and shorter days to find food in. Groups that survived long winters likely had to solve a problem completely different from summer survival, not just finding food, but storing enough of it in advance to last through months of scarcity. Evidence suggests early humans used natural refrigeration, burying meat in permafrost or packing it in snow to preserve food for weeks or months at a time. A group that failed to store enough food before winter set in faced a slow, grinding decline over the following months, with no ability to simply go find more once the season turned harsh. Everything got harder in winter. Hunting took more energy for less reliable return, and the margin for error shrank dramatically. Groups that cooperated closely, shared resources fairly, and supported weaker or injured members through the hardest months had a much higher chance of the whole group surviving to spring. This likely intensified social bonds and group loyalty during the hardest season's winter. Wasn't just a physical test, it was also a test of how well a group functioned together when resources were tightest and mistakes were least forgivable. Here's the striking part. The very things that made winter survivable, sewn clothing, engineered shelter, food storage, tight group cooperation, required planning months in advance. Winter didn't just test physical toughness, it rewarded foresight. The groups that survived weren't necessarily the strongest. They were often the ones who prepared earliest and thought furthest ahead. Every time you complain about cold weather from inside a heated room, remember, your ancestors turned a season that should have killed a warm climate animal like us into something survivable, using nothing but treated animal skin, carefully placed fire, buried food, and each other. Conquered by strength. It was conquered by planning and by people who refused to just wait and hope it would be fine. If you want to see how early humans eventually pushed into the coldest, harshest regions on Earth, hit subscribe. This is Ancestral Line.